going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Today is St. Patrick's Day, so for those of you who are out there celebrating, all I gotta say is be safe, be careful, but let's celebrate the fact right here that Bitcoin is attempting to still put in a higher high. Now, again, we have not fully gotten rejected just yet, but you can see that right here, we are in fact, again, touching the top of this area, right? So we have wicked up to a higher high, but again, we are struggling to close above this parallel channel. So does this mean that Bitcoin has to come all the way back down? You know, don't forget, we do have that other CME futures gap. Well, before we get into all of this, we are witnessing history in the making. I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking and what I'm seeing in the charts right now. But, you know, I was actually on, if you didn't see yesterday, the Debate Crypto channel talking to Gareth Soloway, Magic Internet Money, and Bill Noble. And, you know, there was a mixed emotions. Gareth very bearish, Noble saying we could see a $84,000 Bitcoin by the end of this year. Okay, let's realistically look at what's happening though. This is historic. We have banks collapsing right now, and the Fed has come out and said that possibly, potentially, they could actually be looking to inject up to $2 trillion. Now, you know, you're hearing these analysts saying that this could reverse some of the rate hikes. So what does this mean for Bitcoin? Is this good? Does this mean crypto is going to bounce? Well, I'll tell you what, it is a very, very, very important week for Bitcoin right now, because as you can see, we were talking about this triple threat probably before anyone really was, right? We had the 200 weekly moving average, also death cross. We have this major Terra Luna crash pivot. And we also have this very, very significant downtrend. Now, even if we do close below these levels right here, as long as we can close above this, this would be one of the most bullish candles for Bitcoin that we have seen, pretty much since June of last year. So it could really be crunch time right now for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So if that sounds good to you, you know what to do. If you're not subscribed, definitely consider it. And before we get into the charts, you're probably wondering, why is this damn video so long? Well, it's because I finally was able to get a hold of Team Underground on the channel. A lot of you guys have been asking me about this WaveEdge indicator that I'm using all the time, and I really didn't have a good opportunity for you. So we finally got Thomas from Team Underground on the channel. I asked him his opinions about the market, what he thinks, how he uses his indicator, and he also said that he was willing to offer a 50% discount for the next 48 hours if anyone is interested. Now, this isn't a promo. You don't have to use this. You know, I use this for free on the channel every day, but if you do want to get your hands on it, there is a 50% discount code below, but you do need Telegram because it's all done through a Telegram app, okay? Again, guys, not selling anything. Check the interview out. Really awesome dude, but if you want to, he's doing a 48-hour deal on that if you use the link below. So let's dive in, though, to the free content that we give out every single day, having a look at Bitcoin. So again, not to beat a dead horse here, but this could be, I mean, look at this weekly close, guys. Bitcoin has not been above this level, basically, if you count this little candle right here, since June of last year. And this is a very, very significant level, in my opinion, and we do have until the end of the week. Now, I know traditional stocks close technically, you know, at the end of the day, but, you know, Bitcoin is 24/7, so I do count the ultimate candle as the Sunday night close. Now, futures charts, yeah, if we can close above these levels on futures today, then we did it, guys. We did it. But let's see what happens over the weekend. So having a look right here, the interesting thing is that the S&P is having a red day and Bitcoin is having a green day. Let me go to the daily. Bitcoin's having a green day. Now, the only reason that I think that we kind of wick down below here is because once stocks opened, then you kind of saw that, you know, risk sort of correlation kind of happening a little bit, but still, Bitcoin is decoupling, in my opinion, more from stocks than anything, because the stock market is still on a major downtrend. Well, Bitcoin is on a major downtrend too, but it lost this upward sloping trend right here, whereas Bitcoin still very, very much so has its upward sloping trend. And not only does it have that, but we had a bounce off of this and we had this bump and run reversal. That is a textbook pattern, right, guys? So again, getting back to the thing that I've been saying yesterday, I also said this over on the channel when I did the debate crypto interview, is that we're having similarities back here like we had in 2015 to 2016, where you're seeing the super guppy enter into the red with 3 blue trends, right? And these are moving averages. So you can see 1, 2, 3, red, okay, right over here. Go back over here, 1, 2, 3, red. So it's looking very, very similar. Again, talking about this WaveEdge, right? WaveEdge has only ever given out 3 of these green dots. And by the way, this down here is Market Cipher as well. I like using Market Cipher and WaveEdge together. I like to see the confluence, you know, because sometimes Market Cipher will give off like a green dot or show a wave that you don't see on the WaveEdge. So I like to make sure that they're both showing it. It gives me more confidence. But as you can see right here, this wave green going into the purple, always mark the bottom, green into the purple, always mark the bottom, green into the purple. We're kind of trying to do it right now. And what we're waiting for is this super guppy to go back into the neutral. I think if that happens, guys, then I do feel sorry for the bears. I think at that point, it would just be, we need a black swan event to destroy this market structure. And as you guys can see right here, Bitcoin dominance absolutely surging. Absolutely surging. So obviously, if you guys do want to learn how to trade, make sure you check out the tutorial popping up above. I do recommend decentralized trading if you want to be safer. I have a free Apex tutorial, but that's totally up to you. Some people like using centralized exchanges. Just understand if you do that, you are putting your money on an exchange. So you got to understand that that's the risk, right? So moving on real quick, and then we'll get to the interview. This is what I'm talking about here, guys. First Republic Bank shares prices down 80% in the past month and got 11 major U.S. banks to pledge $30 billion, but the stock continued to slide during today's pre-market, down 14%. Credit Suisse is also down 9% pre-market, and SVB Financials has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in New York. And this is exactly what we were talking about on the channel yesterday. And, so Magic Internet Money, he's pretty neutral. Gareth is obviously bearish. Bill Noble thinks Bitcoin could go to 84,000, which is crazy. And I'm just sitting here just saying, yeah, I mean, we could easily go up to about 30K minimally, and even go all the way up to around, where's this one right here? Okay, so remember I told you, if you take this, right, and you put it here, let's not do it at the breakout. Let's do it at the retest, just to give ourselves the benefit of a doubt. That puts Bitcoin up to around $54,000. And people still think that that's crazy. That's crazy. I'm telling you, a big step is what happens this week. If we get that candle close, I think it could be off to the races. Now, what else do we have going on? Well, listen to this. JP Morgan strategist Nicholas Panagurtsoglou believes that the Fed might inject $2 trillion of funds into the U.S. banking system to ease the liquidity crunch. According to Bloomberg, the Bank Term Funding Program should be able to inject enough reserves into the banking system, are you ready for this, to reduce reserve scarcity and reverse the tightening that has taken place over the past year. Okay, so this is crazy, guys. This is absolutely insane. Again, having a look at this, it's not QE, it's only temporary, Burr, right? Back to Burr. And at the end of the day, oh, by the way, and just the title is Fed Balance Sheet Balloons by Almost $300 billion After SVB Failure, an Effort to Stop the Bank Run. So I think that they may be running out of ammo. Maybe they do want to send us into a recession. Maybe that's the ultimate end goal. Maybe they do want unemployment to go up, which sounds totally backwards, but you guys get how backwards this situation is, right? So at the end of the day, I think that right now what we're seeing is nothing but a massive, massive advertisement for Bitcoin. I think people are waking up to the fact that the banks are scams. Bitcoin is not a scam. Crypto is not a scam. Blockchain is not a scam. Are there scams within crypto? Are there scams within Web3? Yeah, but you know what? There's also scams on the phone, right? Like calling up there's email scams. And yeah, a lot of them do use crypto now because let's be honest, crypto has irreversible transactions, although that's not true. There are some ways you can reverse transactions, but for the most part, generally speaking, when you send your crypto, it's gone, right? But it doesn't mean that crypto is a scam, right? I mean, think about it. Like you can use a knife, right, to cut your food, or you can use a knife to, hurt somebody. You can use a shovel to, dig a hole, or you can use a shovel to hit someone over the head, right? I mean, same thing with a hammer. You can use it as a weapon. You can use it as a tool. Blockchain, crypto, it's all just a tool, right? There's always going to be bad actors using it for things that are not productive, that are not net positive. But overall, is Bitcoin a scam? No. Is Ethereum a scam? No. Is crypto and blockchain a scam? No, it's not. Are banks a scam? Why don't you answer that? Why don't you guys answer that below? I don't want to say that. So anyway, guys, that's it for today. This is why the video is so long. So getting back to this chart right here, WaveEdge, how do we use it? What's going on? So we're going to hop over and just so you guys know, if you don't know a little bit about Thomas, because we're going to hop right in, he's in his young 20s. I found his channel like 2 years ago. I was really impressed with his analysis that he had done. He dropped out of school when he was like 17. He's a full-time trader living in Tokyo. So yeah, I just, giving him a shout out. And again, if you do want to get this, you do have to have Telegram. because everything is done through the bot right there. But if you are on Telegram, obviously be careful. Only use the verified links. If you do want to use that link below, it is in the description for 50% off. But that being said, guys, ignoring all that, I just wanted to have a friendly conversation with Thomas from Team Underground. So without further ado, let's dive in. As you guys know, Thomas is actually he's in Tokyo, or he's in Japan. I'm not sure if he's in Tokyo, but yeah, obviously we're doing this in a very interesting time right now. Differences in our time zone specifically. I'm sure it's very late for him, but we are going to talk about WaveEdge because actually you did literally, I remember you put a tweet out, and so far you had predicted the bottom, and we are technically still have not gone any lower than that. So that's pretty interesting. And a lot of this had to do with your technical indicator. Now, you know, everybody's been saying with the Fed that, you know, prices should go lower. We're going to see this big recession, and yet Bitcoin has remained resilient. And you've also been one of those few people that is pretty much been calling the Fed's bluff. So I was hoping we could kind of unpack that and talk about how you were able to come to this conclusion, you know, given the current circumstances.
Just so you know, Crypto Zombie and me as well. I mean, we're not financial advisors, so understand that none of stuff I'm saying is going to be financial advice.
Nothing is financial advice. Everybody knows that. These are just the opinions of people on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to dive here straight into it. Yeah, I'm going to talk about my own indicator, and I'm going to talk here about you know, basically how I predicted the bottom of the bear market. I'm going to tell you guys where I think the Bitcoin price is going to go. I got 2 trades open right as well here to just kind of show you that I'm not just someone who posts out, you know, random stuff on YouTube. I'm actually someone who puts their money where their mouth is. I always do that on my own YouTube channel here as well, and on Twitter. And I'm long since $70,000. I'm not looking to cash this out anytime soon. I mean, the target that we're potentially about to going to go is probably going to surprise everybody. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to go back here to what happened here. First of all, just talk about what happened here at the start of the year, is that we saw Bitcoin bottoming exactly on January 1. And that was kind of exactly where I expected Bitcoin to bottom. Because this is not something that a lot of people realize, but it generally takes 3 years for Bitcoin to bottom. So what we actually saw here back in 2015, and I don't know if anyone has ever talked about this, but you know, we bottomed here around 2015 in January, and then after 3 years, we bottomed exactly as well in pretty much January of 2019, and now 3 years later, we bottomed as well. But whenever you pretty much bottom in that month, you don't go lower than that. So everybody was calling, you know, $12,000 Bitcoin, $13,000, especially now with the banking crisis going on, especially now with potentially, you know, quantitative easing restarting and all that kind of stuff. Just looking at the technicals, there seems to be absolutely no way that Bitcoin is actually going to go lower than that. Now,
that is interesting though, that is interesting with the 3-year cycle. But like, for example, you know, you're still going to hear people in the comments saying, yeah, but it's different this time because that was during a up only. You know, the Fed was printing money, and they're doing the opposite now, right? They're trying to fight inflation. So why do you still think that Bitcoin would actually continue to the upside?
Well, the thing is that we got the best timing right now. Like if you said this about a month ago or 2 weeks ago or something like that, I would have said like, hey, that's quite reasonable for you to assume. Like, hey, the Fed continues to increase interest rates. Nothing so far has been broken in the system. Inflation is still high. They can keep increasing interest rate. But what I've been basically seen here with the banking crisis is that the system is not as solid as people are proclaiming it to be, which is something that I've basically said here, you know, back all the way last year when we basically were at all-time high when the Fed was increasing. I was basically calling the Fed bluff. I was saying they're never going to go up to the targets that they're talking about. They're never going to be able to control inflation. And you're seeing that inflation isn't really topping out at all. It's basically just going sideways. And stimulus are really breaking. The banking system is breaking. European banks are breaking, and they're really providing liquidity to the banks. So they are not. It's very unlikely they're going any higher. If you just look at the bond market as well, I don't have the chart open right now, but the bonds are dumping. Traders are expecting that the Fed is likely going to pause their interest rate hikes, and they were actually really talking about potentially pausing their interest rates about a month ago. They saw actually that inflation went slightly up, so they wanted to increase the interest rates up further, but yeah, it's very likely now with the banking crisis going on that they have just found their limit. The Fed wanted to increase interest rates as far as possible until something broke, and well, something just broke, and so it's likely that they're going to pause.
That's a pretty good point. I don't know if you saw the tweet from Michael Burry when he was talking about the 1907 situation where the Fed was actually made, and he was like basically they took a stand, and 3 weeks later the bottom was in. And he's saying the same thing's happening right now. I don't know if he was being sarcastic or not, but he does make a good point. You know, you're right. Something is breaking. the banks are breaking.
Yeah, and you have to understand is that you know, if you just kind of, you know, if you look at it logically, like a lot of people are saying, like, oh, the Fed is increasing interest rates. We've never seen anything like that before. You know, we've basically had quantitative easing ever since the Bitcoin was created. You know, that is a very, very valid way to look at Bitcoin, but you also have to understand is that we already had a correction. We already had that 80% correction. We already had, you know, all of the crap in the space basically collapsing, the FTX, the Luna. We basically already had kind of a big crisis, a big recession in Bitcoin. And, you know, I mean, what are you going to expect? Like, it crashed just 80%. We already reacted to the Fed increasing interest rates. Like
Right.
what do you expect? You're going to expect it to crash further. Eventually, there's going to be a bottom, and you just have to say, you know, you have to push the button.
I do agree. I do agree that I believe most of the people who sold are pretty much out at this point. And, you know, I mean, literally, unless something happens to the Bitcoin code, to the protocol, I can't, or, you know, maybe like people say if Binance went under or something like that, then maybe we would see that. So yeah, a lot of people are definitely interested in the WaveEdge, the one that I do use it on the channel. I use it in conjunction with a lot of other ones, but you pretty much just use it on its own. I like to use it as confirmation, right? If I see something in another indicator and I also see it on the WaveEdge and I get that confluence, that's when I really get more confident in the trade. So maybe you could just explain to people how you use it specifically.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm a full-time trader. I generally just kind of do YouTube videos like a little bit to the side, but in the bear market, it was so boring. I was just like, I'm just going to create my own indicator. I'm going to come up with something. I'm just going to use my experience. And I basically took months out of my time here to build this indicator. And I gave you access to it. You absolutely loved it. Once you kind of understand it, it's so much easier just to understand the market. It's so much easier. Like, I wake up, I just look at what is WaveEdge saying, and then I just go do my thing. And I understand if, you know, if the market's going to go up or if it's going to go down. Let me pull up here the S&P 500. So what I generally do is kind of the first step I do is I kind of just look at what is the trend we're in right now. So for Bitcoin, that is pretty much here. Well, we just set a smaller wave here. We crossed that. So we're right now in an uptrend. If I go look here at the stock market as well, which is kind of, you know, because both of them are quite correlated, we're still in an uptrend here as well. We haven't really broken below this low yet. We are seeing that the stock market is a little bit going sideways. But so far, stock market is still in an uptrend. We still have a smaller wave. We don't have any kind of a smaller wave here in the bearish divergence. So that's all looking quite good, especially Bitcoin is looking good. And then I just go here, look on the smaller time frame, and I just look for these smaller crosses. So if I go here to the 50-minute time frame, you can actually see here that we topped out right over here. So we got a smaller wave right over here. So this indicated, hey, a downtrend. So then you can basically look at the smaller crosses here on the 50-minute time frame, and you can actually see here that whenever you get a small cross, is that generally indicates some kind of reversal to the downside, especially, you know, if you are in a very clear defined downtrend, and you are looking for potentially bearish entries. Well, what I personally do is I just look at these crosses, and then I may decide like, hey, I may go into a short position. And the same, of course, happens here for an uptrend. Now, what we did actually saw is we saw here, of course, this WaveEdge indicator here playing out here on the bullish side. We got a lot of good news. We saw, of course, the banks getting bailout, and a lot of people kind of got flashbacks from 2008 and all the quantitative easing that followed. So we've seen a significant rally here on Bitcoin. And I actually went here into long position here as well. So we went here to the upside, and we got here a small cross on the 50-minute time frame. So if I'm just going to open here my Bybit account, this is where I actually opened my second long position, which let me just open it right over here. It's on inverse perpetual, which is right now up like $30,000 US. You can exactly see that I entered it here, right here on the same level as where this cross actually played out. So let me actually pull up here the cross.
So just and also for everybody watching, you know, it's not like some magical like thing that tells you, you know, do this or do that. It is just suggestive. But for example, you said that when you were in a downtrend and you knew we were in a downtrend, then you knew that the red X's obviously take more significance in the situation because we're in a downtrend. So the likelihood of that actually having, you know, an effect to the downside is more likely. But now we've clearly reversed the trend.
You know, just look at this. You can see here, if you go here to, for instance, the 12-hour time frame, it doesn't really matter if you do like 12-hour daily time frame. But you can basically see whenever you have a big wave and you have kind of a smaller wave, what you tend to happen is you see a divergence, and then, you know, you got a smaller wave here. And then this basically indicates like, hey, there's a divergence in the price, and then the price goes here to the downside. And if you see, you know, a smaller wave and then smaller wave, that's a bullish divergence, and then you see the price move to the upside. And so we saw here smaller waves right over here at the bottom, and then we went up. We saw a bigger wave right over here, and then a smaller wave connecting that moved to the downside. Eventually here at the bottom, we saw again here a divergence. And so basically every single bottom and every single top that you've seen beside here this FTX drama thing, which isn't something that you can really predict as an indicator because it was just a news event. It basically predicted every single bottom and top here.
I mean, we have been going sideways for a little bit right now, but what is like your prediction for Bitcoin if you had to, based on what you're seeing right now? Can WaveEdge show us anything on the larger time frames, or is it only
yes actually if I go here to the weekly time frame, what you can basically see here is that WaveEdge Indicator, whenever it sets here a green dot, as you can see, let me go into the log scale so it's a bit easier to see, is that this basically indicates the bottom, or you're quite near to the bottom. Generally, you see it kind of followed by a little bit of sideways action. This is exactly what we saw here back in 2015. We saw it happening here in 2018, and now we saw again a dot here back in 2020. We went sideways, got the whole FTX drama, but we recovered from that. And that crossed every single time that we got across, it basically indicated the bottom of the bear market. What you can actually see is that the moment that this wave actually crosses, like it did right over here, and as it did as well here a few weeks ago, that basically indicates the start of a significant rally to the upside. And we started in 2019, 2015, we went down a little bit, exactly as what we kind of did right over here as well. We kind of went down before we eventually went back to the upside. But that basically started the uptrend to the upside. And once it started flipping back here into the bullish territory, so we still have potentially a few weeks or maybe even months here of potentially just uptrend to the upside, very similar as we saw in 2019, very similar as we saw back in 2015, where we just have an uptrend to the upside. So once this wave starts flipping back here into the kind of bearish territory and it starts to get kind of overbought, well, that's very often where you see at least the price topping out, as we did right over there, as we did here very famously in 2019.
Yeah,
and
back in 2015, though, you could see that there was a little bit, it started to cross over, and then we had sort of that fake out right there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there is that possibility too, or could you see that where maybe there's a chance that we do consolidate longer, or are you just off to the races right now? Like, are you just like, we're just
no, we're going. Yes. I'm a full-time trader. I think we're going. I'm just going to show you guys here my my target. I'll talk about the altcoins here in a minute. But the targets here are actually very straightforward. And this is again not something that people tend to really talk about, but Bitcoin tends to fade the highs. And Bitcoin's uptrends, they tend to continue to the upside until it hits kind of a previous high. And that's when it gets a correction to the downside. And, there's kind of a mid-cycle rally that kind of happens between the end of the bear market and between the halving. Very famously in 2019, you saw this extremely strongly playing out here. But we saw this as well here, for instance, back here in 2015, where we kind of had a mid-cycle rally here to the upside until eventually the halving took place here. And then eventually we breached all-time high. But you can actually see here that it went all the way here to this previous high, and then it faded here and had this correction here to the downside. And these were strong corrections, by the way. These weren't like 10% corrections, like 40% correction. So imagine if Bitcoin goes back to like, what would it be, like $15,000 like that, compared to what the price is right now. That's how strong these corrections were. And even over here, we had a strong correction and we just went sideways here for many, many months. It tends to go to the previous highs. It looks for those highs. And then those rallies just like that, they stop. Same thing happened here back in 2019. We went here to this previous high. We kind of had a pause here for a few weeks. But the real top here actually played out here at this high. So what my thing is that, basically here on my own YouTube channel, I bought Bitcoin here at $17,000. I basically bought the FTX crash. You could go back to the video that I made a few months ago. As by the way, you probably have a link to my channel in the description for people just to check out.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we have a link for your channel, and also there's, as everybody knows, a link for the WaveEdge if you do want to.
I'm quite honored to be on your channel, to be honest, and you're like the only YouTuber that I still watch actually for the news, because you're pretty level-headed guy. Like, I feel like a lot of crypto YouTubers out there, they do a lot of like scammy, weird stuff. But you have been like, I've followed you for years, and you've stayed the same. You've stayed true. And I am going to do a 50% discount right now. So that's only going to be for 48 hours, and it's going to be for everybody. It's going to be 50% discount completely off on the WaveEdge. So if you're like really loving what you're seeing right now, there is a 50% discount. It's going to be only for 48 hours. It's quite rare that I do a discount like that, but yeah,
that's really awesome. I actually didn't even know that. For everybody watching, I didn't even know you were going to do that. So thank you guys again. Like, obviously, no one here is trying to sell you anything. You're more than welcome to just subscribe to the channels and watch everything we do for free.
Yeah.
But if you would like to learn how to trade and specifically use WaveEdge, there is a link below in the description of this video, and you will get 50% off if you're interested. So just throwing that out there.
Regardless of
and
that,
it does, and obviously it does work for other things besides Bitcoin, but that's really the only thing I trade is Bitcoin. I don't trade anything else because you don't really have to, honestly. Like once you learn how Bitcoin works, you could just trade Bitcoin, and I never trade altcoins ever anymore. Sometimes I'll buy them though, like just as like little speculative investments, but I rarely trade an altcoin unless it's like, there's some crazy, like it's collapsing or there's FUD, or like you can kind of get in on like a quick news driven event. I just kind of leave it alone.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the fun thing is I make these predictions on Bitcoin, but I'm quite famously, whenever I buy altcoins, I very rarely do it, but they always go to shit. I've completely stopped doing it.
Yeah. Right. Well, altcoins, that's a whole different game.
Yeah. But about because I was going to talk about what were potentially the targets going to be, and again, nobody really talks about this. Everybody's talking about, where's it going to go? Is it going to go to all-time high? You just look at where the previous all-time highs are. At least that's what I'm doing personally, and that's what previously had happened. You just look where the previous highs are. You draw some lines, and there you go. You have your targets. And as I said here, I want to say it because I bought the $70,000 US. A lot of people actually in the comment section were saying that I was completely nuts and crazy. But I'm gonna definitely sell those Bitcoin again and go into profits, because as I'm saying right now, I'm all in on Bitcoin. I don't have any cash, so it's just like I don't have any money basically to do anything. So I got to take some profits, and it has worked every single time in the past. And you just go to the previous highs, and we basically have two targets. One is $32,000 US, and one is the next one is $50,000 US, and that kind of lines up as well with the Fibonacci level, which is quite interesting. Back in 2050, we went very near to the 38.2 level before we eventually came back down, went sideways. And in 2019, we went up to the 61.8 level, and that kind of lines up exactly. Let me actually close here the Fib level with kind of the previous highs that we're seeing right now. And I'm looking to cash out I'm definitely looking to cash out here this long position, like $250,000 here. Quite a lot, $250,000 at $32,000 US. I'm potentially looking to go into a long position as well further here down the road. I definitely don't necessarily think it's too late. So if we're going to get there, I might sell a couple Bitcoins here and there. But if we go to like $50,000 US, that's definitely what I'm going to sell, a reasonable, maybe like 10% of my portfolio. Those are kind of the primary targets that I'm looking at. It kind of depends what the Fed is going to do. If they're going to restart quantitative easing, personally, I think, especially with high inflation right now, $50,000 US would be quite a reasonable target at that point in time. But if the Fed continues to hike, and maybe we see some banks getting saved, so some liquidity being added to the market, but the Fed still being kind of hawkish about trying to get inflation under control, I think $30,000 US would for me absolutely do it. Pretty much $50,000 US. That's all I'm watching.
I think the 28 to 30K level, that's the level we've been looking at on the channel as well. Yeah. Because there's also a lot of consolidation in there, and if you even like throw the VPVR on, you'll notice it's just a huge level of interest. So I actually think that that's a strong possibility to get up into that zone. Before seeing potentially another correction. And like I said, if the WaveEdge ends up doing what we did back in 2015, 2016, where we had that little mini fake out and then it drags out a little bit longer, it's still confirming that we have bottomed potentially, but we don't have the full confirmation of, the actual bull right yet. But I think we could very soon see that. There's a lot of other things we've been looking at. We just looked at the Super Guppy on the channel. That's acting exactly like it did in 2015, 2016. And we're literally just waiting for that, trend to shift. So it's kind of like everyone's just playing the waiting game right now and seeing, what's going to end up happening. Right now, unfortunately, we are still in a downtrend, technically, but we have broken the critical diagonal resistance. It's very simple. So and we've done a retest, and that's actually a classic bump and run reversal. If you've seen that.
Like I draw it right now.
So that's it right there. So it's almost like textbook, which kind of scares you in a way. Like sometimes when something looks exactly like it does in a textbook, then you're like, wait a minute, everybody knows this, we're all watching it, is this really happening? But then you get these other things coinciding as well. They like, how many things could they possibly manipulate? So it's possible, anything could happen. I know there are still people out there calling for 10K Bitcoin, 13K, whatever. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I am saying that
Yes.
right now, what we've been showing and what we've been doing has been pretty strong. I mean, if you look at what you're showing right now, this bump and run reversal, if you look at what the stocks
Yes.
are doing, look at the S&P. The S&P is still sitting below its major
Yes.
trend. It had a fake out, whereas Bitcoin is above it. So
Yeah, but
I think that's pretty incredible considering the banking crisis and everything that's going on right now. It's almost like an advertisement for Bitcoin. It really is what
yeah,
it
but
is.
the reason why the S&P is also dumping is that all these banking stocks are dumping, which is kind of dragging the S&P down. But
That's a
actually, the
good point.
banking going down is positive for Bitcoin. So what you're actually seeing, and I just checked this out here today, is that the correlation between a Bitcoin and the stock market, I think, is as low as it's been in years. So Bitcoin has completely decoupled from the stock market, and it has rarely done it ever like that. I think it last time may have been like 2019, or at least for the last 3 years, it hasn't really done that. So that is also a very, very good sign that Bitcoin is really trying to kind of move away from what is happening in the kind of macro world. And it seems to be that it's right now following gold a little bit, and that gold, narrative, Bitcoin is digital gold narrative is really coming back, which is very favorable because gold is doing quite well, actually.
Absolutely,
But
man. So yeah, I just I know it's probably like midnight for you where you are right now. So
that's
is
fine.
there anything that you wanted to say or anything you wanted to leave my subscribers with before you go, or anything like
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, again, it's an honor. I mean, we can talk about this stuff for hours. If you guys really like it, I'd love to come back sometime. You can check out my own channel. I have my trades open. I'm someone who is very, very open and very clear about how I trade the markets. And if you are interested in trading as well, I'm definitely going to show you guys where I'm going to exit my trades. I might actually higher my target. I may lower my target here in the future. Things can change every single time. I predicted pretty much the bottom here on the day, if you can see here as well. Let me open it here on Twitter. And yeah, it's been an honor. It's very great here just to talk with you and just to share kind of opinions, exchange it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for coming on. And like I said, I don't really do too many interviews. I don't really have a lot of people on that often, not because for any
Yes.
reason. I just, kind of like to do what we do. But I did want to have you on because you are definitely legit. I do see you. You do post your trades. You're very transparent. You don't have a signals group, but you do have a group where you
Yes.
just tell people what you're doing, basically. And,
Yes,
I really
exactly.
commend that and respect it. And also, you do the free content every day. So yeah, I mean,
Yes.
obviously you have a product that people can buy, and you worked hard on it, which is great. Again, if you guys are interested, that's in the description. But if not, if you just want to like follow for fun, then I think you have really great analysis. And yeah, I appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very honored. Thank you.
So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, you are a trooper. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today. As you can see, Thomas is quite bullish. I'm quite bullish. Could things happen in the future? Of course, there could be these unexpected, contagions or black swans, but considering every single thing that's been going on with the banks recently, and yet Bitcoin is still kind of hanging out around these levels. If we just go back over here, you could see that right now we're having the S&P test, and, having a look at Bitcoin is still sitting above that level. So ultimately, guys, as I said, we are paying attention to, a combination, obviously, of the market cipher and, of course, this WaveEdge, and, of course, the Super Guppy. The Super Guppy is actually free if you guys want to you literally just type in Super Guppy. You can get that right on TradingView. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I do this every single day. Be safe. It is St. Patrick's Day currently at the time of making this video. So, just, take it easy out there. Enjoy yourself cautiously. And that's it for me. So thank you so much. You guys rock. And if you do want to learn how to trade, make sure you check out this tutorial popping up right here, right now. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.